Local level is very much an operational level, and we envisage these guys would be involved with identifying areas where temporary shelters could be set up. Ideally, we think that they should be associated with welfare centres, but that may not be possible. So places like tennis courts and halls and perhaps swimming pools at schools, obviously SPCAs, veterinary clinics, etc., etc. Other things they'd be involved with is provision of food and water. Provision of food in the Christchurch earthquake situation this was a large job that was carried out by the SPCA and veterinarians, especially to that eastern area that was so severely affected. The provision of veterinary care, decontamination of animals, that was quite a big deal in the Katrina situation where animals were swimming in contaminated water with sewage and chemicals. Animal control. So really it's an operational role. The regional role is more of a supporting coordination role, and we see that working with CDM group in regards to planning for companion animal welfare. And again, that's going to be made up of representatives of those groups that I've just mentioned and other experts, and also agencies like Fire Service, for example, Ministry of Health possibly. And I've talked a little bit about NAWEM. As I say, this is what we are proposing should or could happen. So moving from that peacetime structure into a response structure, so unfortunately we've changed the order. On the left-hand side, we've got the existing CDM structure, and we've slotted in at the local, regional and national levels how those groups may interact. On the right-hand side, we've got the national, local, regional animal welfare agencies, which would be members of the three groups. And then those groups would have a coordinator who basically would make sure that peacetime planning had occurred, and then once an event happened and a move into the response phase has occurred, they would activate that group and be responsible for those activities. We've put some suggested reporting lines in there as well. So, has anybody done any of this stuff out there? Well, Auckland SPCA has got quite a nice little pamphlet together on what to do with your companion animal. And this is essentially around preparing people to ensure that your pets are part of your own family emergency plan. So there's information here about, food, documentation, leads, carry cases. Interesting fact that a small survey done in New Zealand, only around 20% of people that own a cat actually have a carry cage. So think about that, guys. If you've got a cat, how are you going to carry it? How are you going to carry it? This is courtesy of Des Paulson and Taranaki. This is a lovely little pamphlet, again along the lines that the SPCA have, and I don't know if Des is here, that have done in Auckland, and similar sorts of advice that's coming through about preparation. On the right-hand side, you probably can't see it, but the sorts of things that you need to have on hand as part of your emergency plan and your emergency kit. So it's part of the family's plan, essentially, and your responsibilities in regards to the Animal Welfare Act, which is on the bottom right-hand side. This is another brochure that Taranaki have done, and this is in a situation where your animal wouldn't be with you in a welfare centre. It would be at a place somewhere distant, such as a tennis court or a local hall. And really what this is saying is that your animal's going to be looked after. These are the sorts of things, shelter, etc., that are going to be provided. That it's your responsibility to pay for it. Any veterinary attention will be at your expense, and if you don't pick up your animal within 7 days, it may be destroyed. We would like to see that extended out, and I'm sure it would be. Rotorua District Council, and thanks to Andy Hope for the slot. I'll move it on. They've actually done a companion animal plan. for the group, CDM group in the area. I've just pulled out a slide just to kind of show you what it looks like. And I guess what I'm showing these for is that, well, yeah, this might be all very well. This tosser sitting at the front here says you should do something about companion animals. Well, what the hell do you do? You know, I've got a blank piece of paper, and where do I start? So, very refreshing to see this plan. Coincidentally, it was going on, developed at the same time that we were developing the guidelines, and we've essentially come up with the same thing. So, I guess it's not rocket science, this stuff, but this would be a very good template to use. And the sorts of things that they've gone into in the Rotorua areas, they've identified areas where animals could be kept. They've identified personnel, so like SPCA officers, animal control officers, veterinarians. So I think this is excellent. There are also template forms in the back of the document, and we've got similar sorts of forms in our document where animal ID and registration is linked to your Red Cross ID if you've been evacuated. So I think this is a great plan. So where to next? As I said, the guidelines that we've developed are currently with McDem, and they're being reviewed. We're hoping, thanks to John's generosity, they'll be made into a director's guideline. Before that, they'll be consulted early next year, and hopefully, you'll provide feedback if you get to see those. The Animal Welfare Act is being reviewed, as I've said, and an animal welfare strategy is being developed, and we'll continue to lobby in that regard to ensure that responsibilities are clarified. As I say, we've spoken to Minister David Carter, and if he's Minister following the election, he certainly is very empathetic to this area. If the CDM Act gets reviewed, I understand it was going to be, but it's now put on hold. Likewise, we'd be lobbying in that area as well. So just final slide. This is just a bunch of pictures that I've put together, and some of which I've already shown. These are the temple dogs down the bottom from the latest floods in Bangkok. Good to see they're in great condition. Whisper is involved heavily in getting these dogs fed. They're not owned by anybody. But I guess what I'm trying to depict by this slide is that where there are disasters and people involved, then there are going to be pets. This is a reality. After looking at the news item on television last night, I checked up on how many people live in Greymouth. As of June 2010, there were 10,000, so I divided that by 4 to roughly get how many households that was, or is, 2,500. So if those stats are right, that 70% of households own a pet, that's 1,750 animals. So we did see some pictures of companion animals being evacuated last night. If all of Greymouth had to be evacuated, how would we get on for those companion animals? So, I think those of us that are involved in this area, we really cannot underestimate the human-animal bond. People will do crazy things and take risks to save their animals. So we believe that planning, therefore, needs to be in place for companion animals following a disaster. And I'd like to just finish by saying NAWEM's very committed to working with the sector in that regard. Thank you.